It's a day in the life of a pint for Concession Road Brewery in Jarvis. Surrounded by concession roads, this Jarvis brewery is many things to many people, providing a memorable stop for tourist travelers, lovingly curated turf for loyal locals, and a provider of a wide selection of crafted brews to tempt the connoisseur and the curious.
We started here in Jarvis in 2018, and we've expanded to 11 taps. We have 11 rotating taps now. We make all sorts of beers, from sours to dark beers, IPAs, lagers. There's so many styles to brew, and we just love doing it.
The company's story began with a dream, some space in a garage, and the hopes of someone who was working at a chemical company brewing chemicals.
And so I started home brewing with the goal of starting a brewery, and it took a couple of years to build a business plan. Brewed about 65 different batches of beer in my garage, and we aptly named it Screaming Trees Craft Brewery because of all the cicadas in my garage in Cayuga. They were really, really loud. So
Concession's sensational suds are born not of a quick process, but rather one filled with a lot of love, meticulous dedication, and patience. The process can take anywhere from about 2 to 8 weeks to fully mature and be ready for the taps and for the customers. Malt made of dry, germinated grains is sent through a grist mill, which cracks open the husks of the kernels and helps expose the starches during the mashing process. Mashing is the first step in the beer-making process. It takes 1 to 2 hours, combining grist and water as the mixture is heated to between 100 and 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Mashing breaks down the natural enzymes in the malt into starches, converting them into sugars, which will eventually become alcohol. Water is combined with the grist in one of 2 ways: infusion or decoction. The liquid consisting of sugars and hot water resulting from mashing is called wort. Wort must be lautered from the spent grain efficiently in a separate lauter tun. The solids from the mash run through the perforated bottoms via runoff ports, and the solids from the mash settle on the bottom and form a filter for the wort. Once the wort is transferred, the remaining spent grain, mostly husks and bits left over from the mashing, now requires sparging or rinsing with heated water to get as much of the sugars as possible from the remaining grain for the wort. The wort is sterilized through another 1 to 2 hour boiling process in a brew kettle, which stops enzyme activity and condenses the liquid. This is where hops are added. Boiling now complete, the whirlpool phase further clarifies the wort by removing protein and hop solids known as trub through settling. Next, a heat exchanger is used to reduce the wort to the temperature desired for fermentation. Wort is transferred to a fermentation vessel and the yeast is pitched. This stage is the primary fermentation, the conversion of sugars to alcohol and carbon dioxide that leads to an ale or a lager, depending on the type of yeast used. Now, beer reaches the conditioning process, where it will mature and smooth, and the byproducts of fermentation will diminish.
The process is relatively the same for every beer we brew, but the times, the temperatures, the materials, and all those subtle nuances can be completely different, which will give you a completely different product in the end. So
the beer sits for as long as it takes to ferment out to where it can be conditioned, carbonated, and packaged.
Sometimes it's advantageous to change one thing at a time, because if you change too many things, you really don't know what is contributing to that one factor that you're looking for.
Concession Road Brewery has earned a few titles along the way. From 3rd place at the Ontario Hops Challenge a few years ago, in 2023, the brewery took gold at the Ontario Brewing Awards for one of their sours called Island Breeze, which is a summertime pineapple guava sour. And the brewery just took gold at the 2024 Canadian Brewing Awards for its English Bitter. And their popular styles vary seasonally.
In the wintertime, dark beers are king. They tend to the malty, the richness, the bit of the heaviness. It kind of warms you up a little bit. And then in the summertime, sours, lagers. People want light beers that are really, really crisp and refreshing. And then in the shoulder seasons, you've got some fun stuff and your pumpkin beers and some of your springtime stuff and that as well.
So why choose Jarvis, a small town divided by highways 3 and 6, surrounded by concession roads?
Jarvis kind of chose us, so we knew we wanted to be the first craft brewery in Haldimand County. And there was no other breweries actively in operation, and this location just happened to come up right at the right time when we were just setting to acquire equipment for delivery. Yeah, so it was more just kind of happenstance, really. Great community, awesome people, and we love being here.
It's a love for the region and a love for unique brews. Just don't ask which one is their favorite.
They're all like my children, so I enjoy brewing all beer, to be honest. It's the process that really I enjoy.
And it's a process that brings a lot of joy and happiness to consumers all over. Proudly made in Ontario.